Welcome back for the last portion of our Presbytery meeting. We have enjoyed worship and fellowship together, and now we reconvene to finish our business. So first on our agenda will be a report from Mission Cabinet. The chair, Tim Havacek, will provide the report on information that can be found on pages 62 to 67 in your packet.
Welcome back from lunch. I hope you all ate with great sensibility. Yeah, okay. And welcome back to Mission Cabinet Report. It is riveting, so don't miss a word in your packet. But I'll jump you over to pages 64 through 66. Notice that you have full color copy-ready educational and promotional flyers on sensibility and on the four major Presbyterian denominations. We are trying to highlight these, so take your packet, download it, copy it, hand copies of these to your session members, hang them on your bulletin boards at church, electronically place them in your newsletters, put them in your church bulletins for a Sunday. One great hour of sharing is coming. It would be helpful for everyone to remember again what these offerings are about, how important they are. So please make that available. And also the 2023 Moselle Howie Peacemaking Scholarship. Your soon to graduate high school seniors will be interested in seeing this. It's $500 they could take with them toward college tuition. So these aren't always advertised highly, but I tell you, youth are looking for dollars. So please make this known, and some of the reports we get back from this are amazing, so make that happen. And then just one informational item to highlight. Personnel Committee has finished their evaluations and reviews of the staff. The staff is still with us. Yes, and they're apparently rather happy, so we give thanks for our staff and all that they do. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Tim, and thank you to the members of Mission Cabinet and all of their work. Before I call on the next person, somebody with the initials JEB, there you go. I'll stick it right here. I don't want it to fall. All right, so now I will call upon Sonny Davis, Chair of Finance and Property, to bring his report. I guess it'll be on the screen. Pre-recorded.
Thank you, Madam Vice Moderator. The report of finance and property can be found on pages 68 and 69 of your packet. First, please note that we did end the year with a deficit. The deficit was less than anticipated due to reduction of Presbyterian expenses. However, we still ended the year with a deficit, and we anticipate a larger deficit if congregation support of shared mission continues to lag. Please pay your per capita and contribute to shared mission. Madam Vice Moderator, the following action item comes as a recommendation from Finance and Property with Mission Cabinet approval. On their behalf, I move that the Presbytery authorize Finance and Property to act as the administrative commission for the properties of Manual PC and Faith PC in Southern Pines and Aberdeen.
Pause there. Okay. Let me remind the Presbytery that this proposed action comes from committee and does not need a second. So Sunny, would you like to speak further to the rationale for this motion?
Thank you, Madam Vice Moderator. The congregations of Faith and Emmanuel were dissolved by this presbytery years ago. Faith was dissolved in 1990 and Emmanuel in 29. ACs were formed to wind up the affairs of both congregations. However, both properties continue to be the responsibilities of this presbytery. Both properties were being used by local non-denominational congregations, allowing these African American congregations to use the facilities of the dissolved African American Presbyterian congregations was a way of continuing the legacy of our former congregations. However, both properties are significant liabilities for this body. The Presbytery continues to cover the insurance on both properties. After a visit to the Emmanuel property, it was determined that damage to the properties made it uninhabitable. We notified the congregation using the facility that they needed to find safe worship space, and we have reached out to the county to see if the building needs to be condemned. The building of Faith is in better condition, but it and an unkept cemetery need improvements. We have been approached by the church using the facility and other churches about selling the property. These are issues that an AC could resolve. With your approval, Finance and Property will be authorized to negotiate the sale of both properties, making Finance and Property the administrative commission. Would also be a vote to dismiss with our thanks the administrative commission formed in 1990 and 2009 for these properties. Any funds received from sale of the properties would be dispersed according to the policy established by the Presbytery at the October meeting. Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would encourage the Presbytery's approval.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, do we have any that wish to speak for or against this motion? If you are on Zoom, please raise your digital hand to be acknowledged. If you are in the sanctuary, please approach a microphone. Okay, hearing none, I sense that we are ready to vote. The question before us is, shall the FNP committee be the administrative commission for the properties of the dissolved Emmanuel Presbyterian Church and Faith Presbyterian Church with the authority to sell and negotiate sale of property? We will vote now. The Zoom participants will see a poll on your screen, so you respond to that poll. And I ask those who are in person to raise your hand now if you are in favor of the motion. All right, you may lower your hands. Those against the motion, please raise your hand now. All right. Zoom results. All right, the motion has passed. Just imagine he's saying, this concludes my report. Pre-recorded. All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to the Finance and Property Committee for their work. I will now call upon the chair of our full commission on ministry, Rick Martindale, to bring the report of the COM found on pages 70 to 77 in your packet.
Thank you, Madam Vice Moderator. It is good that, well, I decided I could do the video. Actually, I probably could. Well, who knows? But needless to say, I decided to come in person so I could see all your great faces at one time. So You have before you, as mentioned, pages 70 through 77. You can see all the stuff that the Commission on Ministry has done in its 3 communities since our last meeting. We have 2 action items. The first one, Executive Committee of COM met, and Reverend Gray Chandler and Reverend Hazel Wilson, who we were going to have come before you today to remove them as ministers of word and sacrament. They've acted. They've reached out to us. And so because of that, we are not going to bring a motion before Presbytery for action item 1. Action item 2, Mr. Bill Tabor has temporarily been removed from ordered ministry, and we were going to see if Mr. Tabor would be restored as a teaching elder to transfer him to Trinity Presbytery. He has since requested that he stay a member in this presbytery, and COM will continue to work with Mr. Tabor moving forward, and so we will not bring that action item before you all as well. I do want to go ahead and I've got 20 minutes, but it's not going to take me hopefully more than another 2 or 3, okay? I want to recognize a few people, and if you are joining us Zoom virtually, go ahead and raise your digital hand. You got it?
All right, I recognize Pam Tabor on Zoom, who has raised her hand for a question.
Hi, I'm Pamela Tabor, a honorably retired minister. I would like to propose a substitute motion for the second item that the Committee on Ministry decided not to include.
Madam Moderator, if I may. So there is no motion that has been removed, as the chair stated, and so this would be out of order to have a substitute motion on a motion that is not being acted upon by the body.
Okay. So you heard what the stated clerk said. So this was considered out of order for this time.
Okay.
Is that
Pam, do you want to make a motion?
Yes, I do. I would like to move that.
And again, I'm sorry, Pam. Oh, she can't hear me.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
That needed to come as new business during the time that we had allotted to receive new business.
All right, I did not understand that. Okay, it will come up again, I'm sure.
Okay, and we'll work with you to get the steps together.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I will continue my report at this point. If you are joining us virtually, raise your digital hand. If you are here in person, go ahead and stand when I call your name. But I want to recognize our newest members to this presbytery. And so Reverend Matthew Koppel, who has been called to pastor at Westminster Church in Fayetteville. Reverend Andy Koenigsmark, who is a member at large, and Reverend Katie Harrington, who has been called as pastor at St. Andrew's Covenant Church. Those are our latest members to our presbytery. And then the Reverend David Priddy is a return temporary member to our presbytery, and he is serving at Bethesda. So wanted to make sure you all are aware of our newest members that are present with us, joining their time together. And also, I'm not sure if Phil is here. Yeah, he is. I see him. Phil, I'm not going to sing to you, okay? They sang to you at lunch. I'm not singing, okay? We'll have a mass exodus. So, but I do want to thank you. You are our only person that is getting ready for retirement, honorable retirement. And so thank you for your service for this presbytery, to your churches that you have served. And I hope you do not fail retirement, okay? Oh, I do have a certificate, so I can bring them forward? All right, Phil, come on forward, buddy. Y'all hear that? He is not Tom Brady. He's not coming back. All right. But he said for $400 million, he will come back. I'm with you, brother. All right. In the name of the Presbyterian Church USA, it is to certify that Philip K. Gladden has, having satisfied, you sure? You sure? Completely? Okay. Having satisfied all the requirements of the form of government of the Presbyterian Church USA, is by personal request and regular action of the Presbytery granted the status of honorable retirement, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto, beginning the 1st of June in the year of the Lord 2023. Thank you, my friend. With that, Madam Vice Moderator, this concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the members of the full Commission on Ministry. As you can see from this report, these dedicated members do a great deal to resource and nurture the 175 congregations and the minister members of the Presbytery. Now, as I relinquish the gavel to our moderator, let me call upon T. Wes Moore to give the Elder Ministries report that can be found on pages 78 to 81 in your packet.
Thank you, Madam Vice Moderator. Mr. Chair, you may begin your report. Reverend T.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. At the stated October meeting in 2022, the Presbytery approved a revised manual for the Commission on Ministry.
T. Wes, hang on a second. We don't have your audio in the room yet.
Oh,
We-
is you ready?
He's already talking. Okay, go ahead, T. Wes. Start over.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. At the stated October meeting in 2022, the Presbytery approved a revised manual for the Commission on Ministry. The chair of the full Commission on Ministry presented the proposed manual and shared that one of the many changes in the proposed manual would be moving elder ministries from a subcommittee of the full COM to a committee of the Presbytery. The manual was approved and went into effect on January 1st, 2023. The subcommittee of full COM became a standing committee of the Presbytery. What we did not have in place at the October Presbytery meeting were the amendments that would need to be made to the Presbytery's Manual of Administrative Operations, clarifying the roles and responsibilities of elder ministries when it became a standing committee of Presbytery. What is being presented in the report from Elder Ministries are these details to be added to our manual. Madam Moderator, on behalf of the Elder Ministries Committee, I move that the manual be amended with language proposed by Elder Ministries concerning the work of the Elder Ministries Committee.
Okay, Presbytery, the motion comes to you from a committee and does not need a second. Changing the manual will require action of this body that will be explained by our stated clerk when we are ready to vote. At this time, I'm asking if there are any discussions about the language proposed by the Elder Ministries Committee in their report. Those that wish to speak on the proposed motion need to make their way to the microphone or be raising their digital hand in Zoom. Likewise, proposed amendments need to be submitted in writing to our tech desk. Those in Zoom with proposed amendments need to raise their digital hand and provide the proposed amendment in the chat box. I sense that we're now ready to vote. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't give you an opportunity. Okay, so I do sense now that we're ready to vote. Since this is a proposed change to the Manual of Administrative Operations, it will require an additional level of approval. I'll call upon our stated clerk to explain.
I think we are very familiar with doing this. So again, in Robert's rules, when a gathering wishes to take action that it cannot do without violating its regular rules, it needs to suspend the rules that interfere with the proposed action. Again, suspending the rules cannot be debated or amended. It must be voted up or down. Our standing process for amending the manual requires that the proposed language be presented at one meeting and voted on at another at a second, or that be two readings, or be distributed to all congregations and minister members 30 days before the vote at a meeting. And so what we need to do, therefore, to vote on this change to the manual today, we will first need a motion to suspend the rules specifically relating to amending the manual so that we can take action on the proposed amendment by Elder Ministries. And so we'll need someone essentially just to move that.
Is there a second? Okay. So it's been moved and properly seconded that we would suspend the rules. The motion is not debatable, as it was stated earlier, and cannot be amended. The question before us is, shall we suspend the rule that would prohibit us from amending the manual today and take up the proposed amendment to the manual from Elder Ministries? To be clear, we're not voting on the proposed language from Elder Ministries. We are just voting to see if we agree to debate and vote upon the language that would change our manual today if approved. Voting in the affirmative would lead us directly into discussion on the proposed language. Voting in the negative will prevent us from taking action on the proposed language today. A vote of 2/3 present and voting are required. We will now vote on whether to suspend the rules about amending the manual. Zoom participants will see a poll on the screen. Please respond to that poll, and I'll ask those in person if you will raise your hands now if you are in favor of the motion to suspend. Please lower your hands. Any who are against the motion to suspend, if you'll raise your hands now. Noted. So the motion carries or passes. We will now move to debate the proposed amendment provided by the Elder Ministries Committee. And are there any that wish to speak in favor or against the motion? You should be moving towards the microphone now. if you are in the sanctuary, or raise your digital hand if you're on Zoom. Any proposed amendments need to be submitted to the tech desk in writing. Those on Zoom that wish to propose an amendment need to raise their digital hand and provide the proposed amendment in the chat box. Okay, we do have someone coming to the microphone.
I'm Catherine Dudley, honorably retired teaching elder. I really have a question of clarification, and this is from a nominations point of view. The language says that the committee is to have at least 6 persons. There's no upper limit. That's usually not a problem, but is usually there a range there? Or I'm asking our state clerk, is that a matter?
So that is what the language says. So usually we have it capped is essentially what we're saying. But the request is to have a range, and I think part of that, if I can recall, had to do with the having the difference between, they didn't want to say that they could only be, you have to have a balance between teaching elders and ruling elders, but they also wanted to fit in qualified and CREs. And so they thought that if they reduced, had a minimum of 6, then that allowed for the flexibility if we need more CREs or more QREs or more teaching elders or more ruling elders that are not QREs or CREs.
Okay. Thank you.
I sense that we are ready to vote. Zoom participants will see a poll on their screens. Please respond to the poll, and I will ask those who are in person to raise your hand now if you're in favor of the motion. Okay, you may lower your hands. Those who are opposed, if you will raise your hands. Motion passes.
Madam Moderator, if I may also take a
He's on mute.
oh.
Oh, he's-
Madam Moderator, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Moderator, if I may take a personal point of privilege for a minute, want to say to all of those who have gone through and become qualified ruling elders or commissioned ruling elders and are being the consistent Presbyterian voices in our congregations, thank you. And for any who may know someone who is called to this, please send them our way. And thank you, Madam Moderator. Thus ends my report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to the members of the Elder Ministries Committee. You now have your marching orders, and we are grateful for your commitment to this vital ministry in our presbytery. If you are a ruling elder that has given any thought about the possibility of preaching and serving as a pastoral voice to a congregation absent of pastoral leadership, again, please speak to T-West or any of the members of the Elder Ministries Committee about your discernment process. Okay. Do we have any new business?
Madam Moderator, we do not have any new business.
Okay. As our meeting concludes, please take note of several reports in your packet. The Self-Development of People Committee encourages you to support the 1 great hour of sharing, that offering in your congregation during the upcoming Easter season. Their report can be found on pages 82 through 85. We heard a minute for mission about the ministry supporting of the 2 cents a meal and the sensibility offering. A flyer can be found on page 64. At this time, I now call on the stated clerk to give us a report on attendance.
Madam Moderator, thank you for reminding us about sensibility and 2 cents a meal. At lunch today, the money we collected will support this 2 cents a meal or sensibility offering. Today, we collected, the Presbytery, you collected $503.12 for this program, so thank you. Additionally, I'm happy to report that we have a total of about, 212 participants today. There were 39 teaching elders and 41 ruling elder commissioners that met here in the sanctuary. 10 CREs, 2 chairpersons, and 20 guests. That adds to a total of 112. In Zoom today, we had 100 total participants. So that gives us, again, a total of 212. Our next stated meeting will be virtual on May 6th. All participants must attend this meeting by Zoom only. Madam Moderator, this concludes my report on attendance and the announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Stated Clerk. To close our meeting in gratitude, I now call upon Johnny Williams and Cassandra Thomas to offer us a resolution of thanks.
Johnny's online.
Johnny in Zoom, who's about to speak, please raise your digital hand so that I can open your
Johnny,
mic.
I could just share, as your Senate
Thank you.
Commissioner, along with Chip Stapleton from Highland, the Senate Assembly will be next week, and we will have a report for the Presbytery thereafter. Thank you for your support.
I can't put him on. He doesn't have his video on, so I can't put him on the screen. Johnny, can you turn your video on so we can spotlight you? Thank you. Add spotlight. Cancel, wait. Add spotlight, there we go. All right, now I think we're good. Do we have audio to the room? Carry on.
A resolution of thanks. Whereas the Presbytery of Coastal Carolina held its 127th stated meeting at the Wallace Presbyterian Church this Saturday, March 4th, 2023, and
whereas, with warm hearts and a gracious spirit, Reverend Philip Gladden and the session cordially welcome the Presbytery to conduct this meeting, and
whereas Dr. Tony McNeil, adjunct professor of music and worship for several universities and seminaries, proclaimed the inspired word so beautifully through music and praise, and
whereas CRE Helene Warren Church was installed to serve as the moderator for 2024, and
whereas we celebrated the life and faithful service of our teaching elders and ruling elders who have gone before us in 2022, and
whereas we welcome our new ministers to the Presbytery, Reverend Matthew Koppel, Reverend Andrew Contemark, Reverend Katie Harrington, and Temporary Supply, Reverend David Pretty, and
whereas with gratitude and joy, we thank God for the honorable retirement of Reverend Philip Gladden, who begins honorable retirement on June 1st, 2023, and
whereas our moderator, Reverend Meg Dudley, presided over the meeting with grace and faithfulness, and
therefore, be it resolved that the Committee on Thanks would like to express much gratitude to Presbytery staff and leaders, to committees and commissions for your reports, volunteers, the hospitality teams, tech team, and to each of you online and in person for your attendance, commitment, and willingness to serve our presbytery, the Presbytery of Coastal Carolina, faithfully. Humbly submitted, their Committee on Thanks, Teaching Elder Cassandra Thomas and
Elder Johnny Williams.
Thank you, Cassandra and Johnny. As we prepare to bring this meeting to a close, I want to remind those participating in person that your neck wallets need to be returned. Do not take any information out of these neck wallets, and please return them as you have received them. I will now entertain a motion that this stated meeting adjourn with prayer. Okay, I couldn't even ask for a second. So all in favor, please give the sign by saying aye. Any opposed? The sign nay. I declare that following the closing prayer by Vice Moderator, this meeting is adjourned.
Let us pray. God, once again, we come to you in gratitude for this day and these people and this place and this time that we have had together. Take us out from here as changed people because we have shared in your feast and cannot remain the same. Ask much of us, ask much from us, so that we may further your kingdom in this world as pastors, as elders, as commissioned ruling elders, as leaders in our community, and more. We pray all of this in Jesus' name.